Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Let me know if you guys can see me and hear me. You know, sometimes we have issues. So, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. I need to catch you guys up on what's been happening over the last couple of days because I told you guys I was going to the games at the Rose Bowl, and I nearly died that first day when I went to that PSG Atletico game. Just thinking about it just again is like, are you serious? Like, it was like 100 degrees out there. I left early. I still didn't get there until the 66th minute of the game. That's how bad traffic was, and like trying to actually get into the Rose Bowl. I was like fighting for my life trying to get into that game. And I kid you not, my makeup was sliding off of my face because I was so sweaty. I was just so uncomfortable. And it was like, I hadn't eaten either. So I was hangry because I assumed I was going to be able to get my fucking nachos. You know, that when I go to a game, all I want is my drink and some nachos. And I was like, cool, like I'm going to get that shit. Didn't have time to do that. I sit down, I finally get to my seat, somebody's sitting in my seat, and I'm not gonna lie, I was rude. I was like, these are my seats. And so they got up and left. And I sat down, and I kid you not, this guy turned around and he's like, oh, are you Jess? And I was like, you should have seen my face. I was just like, yes. Like, I'm dying. Don't speak to me right now. Don't recognize me. Like, obviously, it was an Arsenal fan. So if you're watching, I'm sorry. You know, I was much nicer after, but I was just like, I just wanted to die, literally. But from what I saw from the game, it was really good. And then I went to Monterrey and Inter yesterday, and that was a really, really good game. They love Sergio Ramos at Monterrey. It's really, really nice to see because obviously he's such like a big figure, you know, in our era of watching, you know, him at Real Madrid. And Inter, I was trying to see if they were still on life support after their season, and they did look a little ragged, but to be expected. So, yeah, those are my last couple of days, and this young man is like very much so like he's struggling so bad because Beckham's at the doctor getting getting his vaccinations done, and I just realized we've never been alone. Like ever since I've had Beckham, like and then we got him, they've never been separated. So pray for him because he is suffering right now. He is like a Velcro child right now, and he is very independent. So this is like very strange for us. But anyways, listen, on today's show, we're going to be talking about the schedule. The schedule was released this morning, and we have a very tough start. The signings need to come in now. Sesko, we're still in talks for Sesko. I know there's somebody in the comment section saying we're not talking to Sesko. We are. Nothing has been completed, though. So we'll talk about that. Arsenal are also interested in Xavi Simons, and other teams are also interested in Xavi Simons. So we'll talk about that. Thomas Partey wasn't on the list for Charles Watts for players that they're actively negotiating new deals with, which I found was kind of strange because he was one of the main people talking about he's going to resign, he's going to resign, he's going to resign. It's fine. And it was just like, what? You know? So he's not on there. And now there's more links to Lucien Agome from Sevilla. So hopefully that means that there's some movement there, right? So we'll talk about all those things. And yesterday I did a show with La African Gooner. We talked about just like the transfer window from start to finish. Make sure you guys watch that if you didn't get a chance to watch it yesterday. And then me and Diluted, he finally got in contact with me after a million years. And so we'll be doing a stream tomorrow. So yeah. Let's see. Let's get into it. Shamaria says, difficult start, but it gets easier afterwards. Let's see. Hello, Gooners. Hello, people. How was the match for you? It was good. Like it was good. I mean, obviously PSG are really fun to watch. I just wish it wasn't as hot. Last night it wasn't as hot. Like obviously because like the sun went down, the game started at 6, so around 7, like the sun was gone. But my goodness, that first day felt like death. Like I've never felt like at one point I stood up because obviously the guys in front of me were standing up, so I had to stand up so I could see the game, and I felt lightheaded, like I was going to pass out. And the walk from your car down to the actual stadium is like a mile long. It was just suffer. Like it was just suffer. Like it was just insane. Like I thought I was going to die. Seriously. Samuel says big relief about MLS about to sign a contract. I'll be honest. I wasn't worried about that at all. I know that Real Madrid were talking to him and some Arsenal fans were, oh, hold on. I need to take this. Give me 2 seconds. This is important. It's for Beckham. Hello? Yes. He's done already. That's crazy. See, you don't have to panic anymore. You don't have to panic. But yeah, I wasn't really worried about MLS's contract because he wasn't leaving us. Like he had a breakout season. He could pretty much ask us for whatever he wanted, and we'd give him that. He's going to be one of the most well-paid young players in the world, which he deserves, because as much as, like, I know we talk about new signings and all that kind of stuff, I genuinely feel like Miles Lewis-Skelly has such a high ceiling. Like, I know that people throw around high ceilings all the time, but I genuinely don't think I felt that level of impact from a young player in a long time at Arsenal. And I know we have Saka, but it's just felt different, like very impactful and a lot of high quality. Of course, he had some not so great moments, but what young player doesn't? But if Real Madrid are trying to sign you and you played against them and you absolutely just like dog walk them, of course, you're probably one of the best young players in the world, so you should be paid as such. Also, Fabrizio was saying next talent to sign a new deal at Arsenal after Miles Lewis-Skelly is Ethan Nwaneri. So I never really had any sort of worry about either one of those two players. Now, the big ones are Saka and Saliba. I think both of them will sign. Gabriel, we know, is done. So yeah, like, we're well on our way. We need new players though. Like, we need new players, 100%. Blaze says Marco will make fake news. Hey, sweetie, calm down. It's okay. Here, come here. Come on. Come on. Marco made fake news saying MLS refused to sign a contract for Arsenal and wants to play for Real Madrid after seeing news from Charles Watts. I mean, Marca, are they okay? Like, I just feel like Marca, like I said, the way that these Spanish outlets operate is their PR, like, propaganda kind of conveyor belts for Real Madrid. And Barcelona has some as well. So I just think that, we have to take everything that they say with a grain of salt, because they just want to make it seem like Real Madrid are going to sign all these players. They're going to take everybody's players. They're interested in so-and-so. They're going to take them. And it's just, I wouldn't listen, because also they're also pushing a lot of like the Xavi like wants to keep Rodrigo and he's happy and all this kind of stuff. Take everything that they say with a grain of salt. I just feel like their whole thing is to like make people feel like everything at Real Madrid is going a-okay, and to a certain extent it is, but of course, like, if you're linked to all these top players, you're gonna think my club is really doing that shit. My club is really on it, and so and it's the exact opposite of what the English media does. The English media brings you back up, and they bring you up to knock you down, and they're constantly trying to poke holes and find a clip. Then it's completely opposite. So yeah. So Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan, one is in the bag, one is on the way in the bag. So those are really, really good things. Also, I know you guys are mentioning it in the comment section. I just want to bring it up really, really quickly. That the Mudryk is facing a potential 4-year ban for his doping. And so yeah, I think with that, I guess we can say that we dodged a bullet, really, because the biggest thing is, if this had happened to Arsenal, we would still be in a situation where we wouldn't be moving on new players, and we have a big gap in our squad because we wouldn't have just went and bought a new winger. If we invested 80 something million in a player, there would just be a big gaping 80 million pound hole just in our squad. So unlike Chelsea, who have already bought new players in that position and are buying probably 2 more, so they're not feeling the repercussions of not having that player in their team, we would not be doing that. So it would be even worse for us. Also, the media would constantly be putting it out. With Chelsea, they're not going to do that, but with us, they definitely are, so yeah, we definitely dodged a bullet with that one, right? Let's see. Jess, are we not signing Sesko or Victor Gyökeres until July? That's when Arsenal will make their move. We will chat about Sesko in just a second. It's well known that Madrid controls a large percentage of the media in Spain. I feel like it's well known, but at the same time, Arsenal fans still fall for the okie doke. It's constant. It's they're taking him. They're and it's like relax. Like they are lying. Marca are liars. Like they will make up anything. Or what they do is like, because journalists don't typically just pull things just straight out of their ass. What they'll do is they'll take one little bit of information, like Madrid have discussed Miles Lewis Skelly, and create a narrative around that little tidbit. So you have about 5% of that thing that's true, and the other 95% is just complete fabrication. And that's what they do. Like, we know they're interested in Saliba. We know that they tried to call for MLS. We know these things, but was he, there were contract negotiations with Arsenal are not going well, like all that bullshit, have a seat, was never that. Was never that. And now Benz is out there just screaming and yelling. But yeah, so listen, Mudryk ban for potentially for 4 years, doping ban, dodged a bullet, MLS done, Ethan on the way. Now, our schedule is really tough starting the season, and I will pull it up because I kind of wasn't, it's like I'm a pessimist, so I'm not that surprised that we have a bad start to the season or a difficult start to the season. I just feel like it's not a big deal to have, I don't have a problem with the hard games being front loaded, because then that means that at certain parts where, it gets a little bit more sticky, you're not dealing with these hard fixtures anymore. And you can also maybe catch people out because maybe they're not fully ready to go. The biggest problem is that we will probably not be ready to go. That's always our issue, is that, besides like one season, we haven't really had like that really good, solid preseason, started out like house on fire and got those like first 10 wins, or 8 wins and 2 draws, because that one season where we did really well, 22-23, we had like 8 wins and 2 draws, like, or one loss or something like that in the first 10 games, which is a really good start to the season. And so it's really bringing that level of like reality. And the thing is that we never get out of reality. Like, it's just constant angst and anxiety and bullshit with Arsenal, because the season ends on a low. Then we go into the transfer window and it starts out like they always start out really slow, nonsense, nothing done. And then we get the start of the season and we realize that we're like, our very first game is going away to Old Trafford, and we're not particularly good away from home at Manchester United. And even worse than that, because besides Manchester United, you have Liverpool, and then you also have City at home, and then Newcastle away. We have Manchester City and Newcastle back to back twice, and we have Spurs and Chelsea back to back twice. Anybody that says that this is random is dumb. Like, this is not random. Come on. Like, we're much smarter than that. We know that this is not randomly done. The numbers for the Premier League have been low, and so they need to have a big game, a big talking point, and there's no bigger matchup than Arsenal and Manchester United when it comes to getting people to talk about the Premier League, because we have the 2 biggest online fan bases. It's definitely on purpose, so, and they set us up pretty badly if we're not ready. It's a big if. If we're ready to go, it's not a problem. I'm not scared to go to any of these places anymore. It's just more about, are we going to be ready? And all these back-to-back top 6 fixtures, to me, they could potentially be damaging if we're not in good form, because then you lose those, you'll lose those games, lose those games, so it's, I know what you are. Premier League, and you will pay for your crimes. You will pay for your crimes, because are you okay? Like, what the fuck is this? I looked at my phone and I was like, this is just not how you want to start your day, but everybody knows, like, there's nothing I hate more than those pieces of shit, Manchester United. So that's our very first game out of the gate. We know the formula. If you want to win the Premier League, you have to beat all the non-top 6 teams, basically home and away. And then everybody outside of maybe City and Liverpool, you have to really try to beat them home and away as well. So Chelsea home and away, Spurs home and away, Manchester United home and away if you can. And then you have to beat City and Liverpool at home, and then try not to lose away. So it's looking like if we're not ready to go, we're going to be struggling to maintain a title push. Now, I think once you get past September, it's kind of okay. I don't really think about the travel. We're not really leaving London. Like, I don't really care about that. I'm looking at the competition. It shouldn't matter if we're leaving London or not. Are we playing teams that we know that we should be beating, right? And so October, we go into a series of London derbies, West Ham, Fulham, and Crystal Palace. Those have become difficult games for us over the past 12 months. A season ago, maybe there was the odd West Ham, but now Fulham is starting to become a problem. Crystal Palace, we're not sure, and West Ham is a bogey team. So those have to be 9 points. October has to be 9 points. If it's not, it's done. Like, you just cannot have that. I know that people will be like, what do you mean it's done in October if we don't beat these teams? But we've been in this situation before where we've started off slow. We looked weird. We're kind of fighting for our lives a little bit. And it took an almost perfect back end of the season to get us within 2 points, and we still fell short. So let's not be dumb, you know. This schedule is very hard and at the beginning. And so once we get to December, I do feel like it opens up a little bit. We have Brentford, Villa at home, Wolves, Everton, Brighton, and then Aston Villa home, so that should be a pretty good run of fixtures during the busy Christmas period. If you guys don't know, we're not playing games on Boxing Day anymore. Woke. It's so funny because I saw people over this past week saying that the Club World Cup is ruining the beautiful game. And, it's just all this nonsense Americanization of football just for the Premier League to turn around and say, actually, we're going to fuck up the beautiful game and not give you guys games on Boxing Day. It's not us. It's not us. It's happening on home soil. Like, relax. But no games on Boxing Day. They'll happen on the 27th, but the EFL will still play on Boxing Day. And then we move into, January, February, March, right? So we're in the second half of the season now. And so January looks toughy in a way. Bournemouth should be fine. Liverpool is hard. Nottingham Forest is good. Manchester United at home should be fine. Leeds away should be fine. Sunderland, Brentford, and then you go to a back-to-back London derby situation. I'm telling you, that is not by design. It is on purpose. That both of our Tottenham Chelseas are back-to-back both times, and both of our Man Cities, Newcastles are back-to-back each time. Then we do Sunderland, Brentford. Like I said, you do our Londons back-to-back, and then Brighton, Everton, and Wolves. So March should be a good reset period going into the final stretch, which is not good, but it's also not bad. You still have to go away to the Etihad. So that will end up being, obviously they put that in the run-in to make sure that we have a game with a lot of jeopardy on it, just in case we happen to be near it, a do or die game kind of thing. And then everything else should be pretty much doable. None of that beyond that should be games that we should be worried about. So in the end of the day, none of this really should be concerning because we should feel like we're going to get things done. But this is what I'm saying about people that are constantly doing up the stop panicking, be, relax and all this. Stop telling people to relax. When I tell you guys that I'm not like, every time I say that, like, I'm not particularly worried about this thing, but I understand why you are, it's because I don't feel like we're in a position to tell people to calm down. You know, I don't think anybody's in a position to tell anybody that, because you guys are saying we need to win the Premier League, we need to win a Champions League. Some of these games are also wedged between what will be games in the Champions League that we need for that league phase, because we're doing more games in that as well. So at the end of the day, if we're ready to go, this should not be scary or anything. But because we know we're slow and we don't have anything particularly done now outside of Zubamendi, it's a little concerning, but you basically have until the middle of August to get your shit together. So Arsenal should be looking at this and saying, we actually literally cannot afford not to do our business. Now, my prediction for this season is that this will probably be the first season in a long time that all the good teams will be good at the same time. We won't have a scenario like we usually do where, two of the big six are not good. I actually think everybody will be pretty good this season. And so that's going to put a lot more pressure on us and a lot more pressure on Mikel and a lot more pressure on our signings. So you just need to get the business done. What we have now is not good enough. If you look at Kai Havertz's record against City and Liverpool, we need more signings in. We need new attackers in. He's not somebody that's going to score in those big games. Again, with Kai, it's not about how many he scores. It's about when he scores. So it's just not enough, so they need to go out there and go get some signings. Darren, Liverpool are better without them signing. You guys talking to each other. Don't care for their signings. Our fixture list is good. We can win. Have to attack the transfer market properly. Let's see. Laugh out loud. Arteta's fans will say it's a conspiracy. It's not fair, but ask them to be calm about transfers. They shouldn't be worried at all. I mean, I think most of them are doing up we play everybody twice, so what does it matter? And I'm just like, all right, nothing ever matters to you guys. Nothing is ever worth talking about outside of just pretending like everything is fine. So fair enough. I think it should be fine, because they'll be the same ones when we're not winning saying the Premier League is so hard. You can't just expect us to win all of our games. The Premier League is harder than it's ever been. We're not losing, so it'll be one of those things, whatever. It always comes out in the pudding at the end of the season when we're trophyless. Hand of Arsenal guy keeps mentioning Rodrigo. I think something will happen on that one. Hope so. We're pretty much banking everything on it, aren't we? I think Kai can easily score 20. It's not about how many he scores though, Mark. It's about when he scores. It's about when. He's just not somebody that's going to necessarily trouble Liverpool or trouble City or go away to, St. James and make it a difficult game. He doesn't score against those teams. He just doesn't. At Arsenal, he does not score against those teams. Will he score against Leeds? Will he score against, the smaller teams? Yes, of course, but is he going to go away to the Etihad and score a goal? Probably not, and don't mention to me but what about the Champions League? He wasn't playing for Arsenal then. So we need players that are going to actually score goals in the big games. That's usually the margins that we have. Those are the margins that we have to change or close from now until the end of the transfer window. So get on it. Mark said he got a brace against City in the game where we won 5-1 and he missed a fucking sitter, and then Partey scored, and then he scored like once we started beating their asses. Like, when? Are you talking about that game? Like, again, it's about when. He doesn't score when we need him to score against the big teams. If it's a tight game, if we need an opener, an equalizer, a winner, something, he doesn't come up with it. There's no way to manipulate it or anything. Kai Havertz doesn't score in those games. Not against Bayern, Porto, like none of those. He doesn't score against those teams. I really don't want to watch Kai blowing in the wind anymore. I want a stronger striker leading the line and banging in goals. So let's talk about Sesko. Um, let's talk about Sesko. So there were some things coming out from Sports Build or whatever, talking about the Sesko deal and that Arsenal had agreed terms or something like that. And when you get stuff from these types of outlets, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I don't know where they're getting their information from, but as much as people don't like to hear it, Fabrizio and Ornstein are the most reliable people because they have the most to lose if they get it wrong. And so people that, these in the knows or whatever, don't want to really be listening to them. These Nicolas Shiras and these guys, whatever, the Belgian guy that's always talking, these Pletty goals, whatever. These guys they get stuff wrong every summer and no one cares, but they keep citing them as really good sources because they tell you what you want to hear. There wasn't anything coming through about Leipzig and Arsenal having any sort of agreement. So this morning, Sports Build was saying Leipzig bosses haven't entered into concrete negotiations with any club regarding a transfer fee, not even with Arsenal, with whom Sesko has been repeatedly linked. And then somebody else said, for Sports Witness, was like, it's close. And then now, it's just going back and forth. And then his agent or somebody near him was saying that there's no agreement and it's not close. And so it's just going back and forth, depending on who they because Sports Build 9 hours ago were saying that Arsenal reached an agreement. And then 7 hours ago, they said no, so they're just kind of bouncing back and forth. Nothing is agreed. Arsenal are negotiating. It's going to take a while. We're not even at the stage where it's advanced negotiations or a bid has been put in. There's no personal terms. There's no bid. There's no agreement. There's nothing. It's just we're in talks. His agent also came out and said, all of our negotiations, the big ones, always end up becoming some sort of saga. And I was hoping that with Berta coming in, we wouldn't have these long sagas where are we, aren't we? Are we fighting with the club? Are we done? Can we just get something done normally for once? Benjamin Sesko's agent said that we have a clear plan. We will never force or blackmail Leipzig. We do things the right way or we don't do them. Sesko will only leave for a special club and project. And I'm just like, it's just so boring at this stage. We know you want Sesko. Gyökeres, is it being used? Is he being used? What is it? I don't know. Also, Real Madrid just put out their starting 11 and Rodrigo is starting on the right. So he's starting, but he's not starting in his position. And I feel like we should move on from this if we don't get something tomorrow, because at this stage, I think he's kind of flirting a little bit and he's wants to have his cake and eat it too, wants to have somebody potentially wanting him, but wants to see whatever happened to not wanting players that don't want you, what's going on, so he is starting on the right. And yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. But like I said, with the Sesko, nothing has really happened, with that yet. We know we're negotiating. We know that there's talks, but you want to get him in before around July at the latest. Ornstein said about 2 weeks ago that 2 weeks ago, the week before the break, that this was an important week for those negotiations. Nothing happened. Then the week that it was closed happened. Nothing happened. Now we're into the week after that and nothing is happening and it's Wednesday. And so this is drawing a little bit longer than it probably should. I get that it's a different fee and it's a different situation, but I just feel like we take very long to get to the point, and I'm not, what are we doing? Shamari says, it feels like we should bid. I can't lie. Things probably speed up if we do. Kai scored 8 match-winning goals, Salah 9. Does he score against Liverpool? Does he score the opener against Liverpool? Does he score the opener against City? Does he score the opener against Newcastle? Does he score the opener against Bayern? Does he score the opener against any of those teams in those pivotal games? Against Aston Villa, you can't find one. Don't even look, because he does not score against Aston Villa. Does he score the winner in those games? Does he score the equalizer in those games? Again, as much as you got, like, there's no way to manipulate it. He is not the type of player that is going to show up in the games where they're tight, those really important games. Scoring a winner against Brentford is something that we should expect from any of our forwards. Like, it's just weird that people feel like he's the guy, because if he is, then why are we going around with Sesko? Why does Arteta feel like he needs another striker if Kai Havertz is scoring winners and he's that guy? Answer me that. So we need to get off of this, like, roller coaster and this weird thing of, like, gaslight. He's not the guy that's going to score those goals. So, and he didn't score a winner in a final for us because we haven't been in a final. In fact, he basically took us out of a semifinal for our best opportunity to win a cup. He hasn't scored in a final for us. So why does it matter what he did for Chelsea? They wanted to kick him to the curb, by the way, after he scored a Champions League winning goal. Like, we need to get off of this. Like, at this stage, let's stop pretending like this guy is some sort of savior for us. He's average. He's average. He's average. We're out there trying to get a 21-year-old, a 22-year-old to come in for a guy that you guys are acting like has all the answers. Like, come on. I get so sick of the gaslighting around this guy. It's just disgusting at this point. He is not the guy. He is not the guy. We've just enough. He's just not. He scored a game winner against Brentford. All right. Cool. So give a fuck. I want a new striker. I want to be done with this. Like, this, I want to be done with this. This is just dark. This is going to be our 3rd season going on with this guy, and people are still trying to convince that he's the guy. Like, bruh. Arsenal fans ain't saying Kai is the one. All we're saying is that he's not a dud. I just said he's average. That's what he's average. Like, he's average. When I'm watching him, I don't see anything fun or exciting about this guy. He scores the tap-ins in some games, but when the lights are bright, in a semifinal against United, in a semifinal against Newcastle, when we need to beat Aston Villa at any point in time, when we need a goal against Manchester City, we need a goal against Liverpool, he's not there, but we do have tapes of him missing sitters, even when we played against Liverpool and we played really good and we were absolutely blamming them at home. He had a 1v1 against Alisson and missed it. And he was lucky that it came out to Saka, and Saka put it in the back of the net. Not the guy. Not good enough. Average. Stop gaslighting. He's just not the guy. Won't win you the league. He's very boring to watch. An 8, and is needed a striker to phase out Kai Havertz. Havertz doesn't change anything against PSG. Have we ever seen that before? A player at 24 not knowing how to do the basics they could do at 19. People just don't know how to be honest. Like, there's just, you watch him and you're just like, all right. Okay. So fair enough. You guys are happy with Kai, and you just nonsense. He's average. He's just not a player that, if I saw him going 1v1 against a keeper, do you know how almost every single time that he's 1v1 with the keeper, if he does actually score, how surprised I am? I'm like, oh, he actually scored. Like, bruh. All right. Anyways, it just annoys me that people just pretend like he's something he's not. But Sesko's agent came out, so nothing has really changed about that scenario yet. I'm sure Berta's trying to do the job and whatever, but there's just something fundamentally wrong with the way that Arsenal go about their transfer business. You can want to negotiate the fee down. You can want to make sure that you get the best possible deal. But the timing and the way that it's like it drags and drags and drags just feels like, and no matter who's in the seat, as from my perspective, it's kind of like if we had brought in a manager and they were of an elite standard and they couldn't win us something, then I'm starting to think it's us, not them. You bring in somebody like Andrea Berta, who's completely different than Edu in every single way, has actually built squads that have won leagues before, has done big deals before, for Simeone, has worked with a difficult personality and a manager, and even he's like, it's taking him forever. It just feels a little strange, so yeah. So there you go. Let's see. Now, we've also been linked to Xavi Simons, but here's my thing with Xavi Simons is somebody's getting him, and it better be us, because if he ends up going to a Manchester United or Spurs or Newcastle, who are the other teams that are interested in the Premier League, I just don't see how you allow that to happen. This is a player that we've been consistently linked with over and over again. And it just feels like everything is lining up for him to come to us, because our left wing situation is kind of shit right now. We're most likely not going to get Rodrigo unless something really, really changes. I know that, Hand of Arsenal and all of them are saying something, like they're not really committing to it, but they keep talking about it. Yeah. So this is somebody who we won't even have to compete with Liverpool or City to get him. He's on the market for 70 million euros, which is like 58 million pounds or something like that. He plays all the positions that need upgrading in our team. Left wing, 10, left-sided center mid. He has natural, chemistry already with Sesko. He's the right age. What the fuck would stop you from getting this player? You're linked with Morgan Rogers, a player that you're never going to get. Why not just go get this guy? He plays in those exact same positions and will cost less. It is actually attainable. If you actually really want a player like this, you go make it happen. I think they will, I think Arsenal fans will be frustrated if he ends up at Spurs or Newcastle or Man United, because none of those teams should be able to get this player over us. Really. Andrea Berta should be able to negotiate those two things at once if we really want him. I really don't want to hear that, Tottenham beat us to him because we just never really picked up the phone, or we couldn't offer him minutes, or we couldn't convince him on the project. To me, this is just like a no-brainer. Like, you just get it done, because you're not going to get Nico Williams is done. Probably not going to get Rodrigo. The other options for left wing are probably not at the same talent level as him. So why not just do this? You're going to get rid of Fabio Vieira, so you're not going to have anybody that can play left center mid that can make us more creative. To me, this is a no-brainer, but we ain't got no brain, so what are we going to do? I don't know. You should be able to get this done. Allowing him to go to Spurs or to Man United just feels like stupidity when Wirtz has gone to Liverpool and Turkey and Reinders have gone to Man City. I know we don't have to mimic our transfer business against our rivals. Like, if we don't need this player, then we don't go get him. Like, if they all went and got a center back, that doesn't mean we have to go get a center back, because we know we have the best center back pairing in the world. But we need creativity. Arteta said we need creativity in this team. We need X factor in this team. There's somebody available that you liked before that is on the market, attainable, and has natural chemistry with the striker that you're about to spend a shit ton of money on. Why would you not do this deal? Why would you not do this deal? Josh says a serious club would get both Simmons and Eze. or they just get one or the other. There's no point in having both. They play the same exact position. But I think we should at least get one. If we need creativity, then playing Rice in the 8 isn't going to make it happen. Hato is Arteta's version of creativity. For real. Simons is meaty. He's really not. Good morning, Jess. Smash the likes, people. Gamer says 150 million for Sesko and Simons is a better deal than 150 million for Wirtz to Liverpool. We should do it. Watch the Emirates return to being a library next season. People are already depressed from last season, and they're not even trying this window. I mean, they are going to be, Arteta's going to be doing, Odegaard and Arteta are going to be doing a lot of this when we play against Leeds on the second game of the season, because people are not going to be excited. I'm telling you right now, if the signings are not in, or there's no new attacking signings, or they're on the bench, and we're looking at a starting 11 that looks exactly the same, niggas won't be sorry, excuse my language, but they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be excited. Sorry. They're not going to be excited. I won't be excited. Sorry. I won't, and you know what? I don't think that they need to just get signings to make Arsenal fans excited, but when you can kill two birds with one stone and get the things that you need these things. And also, now why is this? Hold on. Yeah, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? You know? I think signing Eze would be more important than extending Partey. If Simons is meaty, then you man need glazing. Been glazing meaty ass party for years. I don't know how anybody would think he's meaty. I guess I don't say meaty, so I'm just thinking that means crap, But I don't think he's shit. I think he's a really talented player that needs to take the step. Leipzig is sucking the life out of these really creative players, these good players. And so both him and Sesko need to pack their bags and go. If Simons ends up at either one of Man United or Spurs, it's bad. Sorry. It's just not, it just doesn't make any sense, especially because we've been linked to him so many times, and it's just Arsenal are also in talks with him, with his brother and all that kind of stuff. Convince him. I want to see Arteta convince a good attacking player to come to Arsenal and fight for a spot, because he's not going to probably not guarantee him unless he envisions him being on the left, but a left wing. But I want to see him convince somebody to come to us and not go to Spurs or Man United because Arteta couldn't convince him that he would get enough playing time or that it wasn't the perfect place for him. Do it. You have not bought attackers. Go crazy for once in your life. Let go. Go crazy in attack. Go get Sesko and Simons. It won't kill you. I would love that window. To me, just makes so much more sense than doing nothing, especially since Rodrigo is playing hard to get. And I just feel like when you have, how cute, when you have, Rodrigo as one of your top targets, Nico Williams is your other top target, Gordon is another top target, and Morgan Rogers, what you're telling me is you're not serious about getting another attacker because you've chosen 4 players that in one way, shape, or another is very unlikely to come to Arsenal. I think you need to be so freaking for real right now. You knew you weren't getting Nico Williams. You knew that for 2 years. Rodrigo, you need to hope that he chooses to leave the biggest club in the world. And he's probably not going to do that. Rogers, Aston Villa are not selling fucking Morgan Rogers unless they're going to bend over and sell him to Chelsea. They're not going to sell him to us. And then Newcastle hate our fucking guts. And even if they do want to sell Gordon, they're going to put an 80 million price tag on a bang average player, taking your guys' slang, So there's just no way for me. Them 4 players right now, you telling me you don't want a left wing. But if you go get Xavi Simons, who's available, he's just sitting there ready for transfer. You could just negotiate. Why wouldn't you do that? Is it because you don't actually want someone? What is it? What is it? Why don't you? Come on, So let's see. Jokeris, Sesko, get either one or both, or Alvarez, somebody, anybody. Valeria says some Atletico fans were saying that Berta doesn't move this slow in the window. He's usually on it, indicating there's an issue at the club. Wonder what's happening. If you guys think an experienced DOF in Berta just got to Arsenal and then all of a sudden forgot how to do his job, I don't know. I just feel that that's just very unlikely, Let's see. New Music says this club are shy with getting attackers. Probably Mikel doesn't know how to rotate. Bench for him means bench. Arsenal clearly in the market for a top striker and left wing. That's pretty evident with the links. I mean, pretty evident, but we were also going for a striker and a left wing last summer and ended up with nothing. So I think we have to, at some stage, instead of trying to make people believe that it's happening, let them be proved wrong and or gain the trust back from the actual club, because these it's obvious we're doing these things, and of course we're going to do these things, are falling on deaf ears because of last summer. And as much as people want to move on from that and just say, well, we have a clean slate, they don't get a clean slate. The summer window, last window, was so bad, and then they doubled down in January, that I feel like fans are more than justified with saying that they don't believe or that they're skeptical. So all this, of course we are. When you go through a summer window and fake chase Sesko and Nico Williams and turn up with Raheem Sterling, you just have to let people be proved wrong and or let the club gain the trust back by doing the work and actually having the actions to back it up. Karubel says the most important signing should be a new manager. HFT says looking forward to the toxicity and crash outs next season. Clearly not good enough season, easy to predict. Just how true are the reports Arsenal submitted a bid for Morgan Rogers? Not true at all. I don't think. If we did, we would know. But no. I think we're interested in him, but submitted a bid. We have not. Oh my gosh. Guys, I would say these little let's see. This person here that's saying it is just making shit up. This 2 steps ahead masked man, he's just a typical lying ass in the know. Don't listen to these people, because they're just going to get you thinking things are happening when they're not, and then you'll be frustrated. He's lying. We haven't put in a bid for Morgan Rogers. And to be quite honest with you guys, if he is available, then hold on real quick. Then Chelsea will go for him. So yeah, you just have people like this David Dean guy doing Morgan Rogers with the eyeballs and all that. They lying, bro. Where Arsenal and Chelsea are monitoring Morgan Rogers' situation at Aston Villa very closely. I mean, if we have to go up against Morgan, up against Chelsea for Morgan Rogers, I just don't think we'll get him. So yeah, no, I wouldn't. But again, this is my thing. And this is why I feel like just go get Xavi Simons and just call it a fucking day. Why would you waste time on Morgan Rogers when Xavi Simons is right there and no other top teams, actual teams that you're actually, you know what I mean? No City, no Liverpool, and no Chelsea going after Xavi Simons. And the only teams you have to fight against are Manchester United with no Europe and Spurs, why don't you just go get him? You could have like a free run at him. Chelsea are very focused on Morgan Rogers. I think they want to add him because he fits their young player from Manchester City's academy quota, you know. So we could just go get Xavi Simons without anybody else really seeing. We're already in negotiations. Why would we, Arsenal Football Club, waste time on Morgan Rogers? Like, that just makes no sense to me. Wait for Rodrigo or sign Simmons now. Sesko, Zubimendi, Kepa is our summer just. Not to be pessimistic, but we're never gonna win with Arteta. If that's our window, pack it up. Simmons makes a football decision to go to a team where he will get minutes, and they think he damaged, bro. Man left Barca to get minutes. Man left PSG to get minutes. This is a serious player. Maurice says thoughts Chelsea were getting Gittins. But here's the thing, Maurice, is that other teams don't just get one player and then just stop and don't get more players. Like, they're waiting to see what's happening with Morgan Rogers. They'll probably make a play for him. I think if Chelsea, they're kind of like, they may ditch the Ekatike thing because Ekatike is very expensive. Get that João Pedro instead, and then use the money that they were going to use for Ekatike to go get Morgan Rogers instead, and then get Malik Fofana. Chelsea in this window will bring in 4 attackers. They will. They'll get 2 wingers and 2 strikers. They will. While we're sitting around trying to figure out if we're going to get a left wing or not. This is why I don't be listening to all that. It's so hard to maneuver in the window, and transfers are hard. It's not hard for teams that actually want to win shit. It's only hard for Arsenal because they kind of want to win, but not at all costs. And I don't know why people are buying into this whole Morgan Rogers thing when you guys, don't get your fucking hopes up. If there's one team that they will not sell to, it's going to be us. I don't think they will, but let's see. I think Danny Olmo left Barca's academy doing the same thing Simmons done. Everyone wanted Olmo, though. He's not damaged goods. I mean, was Sesko damaged goods when he left La Masia and came to Arsenal? A good player is a good player. There are plenty of players that are leaving City's academy to go to other places, and they're doing really well, that we would love to have. So I don't know why people are acting like Xavi Simons leaving La Masia and then going to PSG and then going to Leipzig somehow makes him a terrible player. He was really young when that happened as well. Wasn't he like 15 or something? But whatever makes you sleep at night. You shouldn't want any player that leaves a top academy and goes somewhere else for playing time then. So no Morgan Rogers either, because he's at Aston Villa right now. Let's be honest. Aston Villa is a difficult club to make a deal to. I just feel like with it just feels like, especially Newcastle and Aston Villa have an obsession with us. They're a little bit like constantly beefing. I just feel like they'd much rather do business with City or Chelsea. They don't want to do business with us. And the Unai Emery factor, I just don't see it. So MM says, I think we will more likely to buy a DM if Partey leaves than a left wing. Let's talk about that for a second, because there was just nonsense on the timeline yesterday around the DM position and what Arsenal should be prioritizing and how they should go about it. And I just think that, I just don't feel like prioritizing a backup DM if Partey were to leave, or giving a lot of funds to that position is smart when the attack that we have is a dilapidated shack that needs a lot of surgery. If we were serious in this window, which we're not, but if we were serious, we would get 3 attackers. That's how big of a switch up we need. It needs to feel like a completely different situation next season. It cannot feel similar. We can't just add Sesko. You can't. It's not enough. So any funds that we have need to really be pushed forward. So whatever defender you get needs to not be super expensive. And if we're talking about a backup DM, the amount of lying ass Arsenal fans sitting on these fucking net saying that they think we bought Zubamendi to share time with Partey. I have a packet of air to give you, to sell you. How about you pay me $5 for this packet of air for you to breathe? Come on. Like, use your fucking brain for 1 minute in your life. Like, there's no way that we are buying Zubamendi to be some sort of sharing time with Thomas Partey. There's no way. So we're talking about a backup DM spending a lot of money in that position, which was what the tweet was from Pedro. He was saying that it's going to cost at least 50 million to replace him, because there's this thing with the Arsenal fan base where they just think Zubamendi is some pauper coming to be El Neni for us. Grow up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Like, Zubamendi, it is 2025. He is one of the best 6/8s or 6s in world football today. Thomas Partey is not. So whether you loved him or love him, hate him, loathe him, whatever, in 2025, Thomas Partey is not a top DM. He had a good season for us. That doesn't mean that he's the best in the world. We are not buying Zubamendi. We have not chased him for 2 seasons for him to sit on our bench. He is going to start. A backup DM to replace Thomas Partey has to cost next to nothing. Talking about replacing him for 50 million is tomfoolery. It is just, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. 50 million to replace him is just stupid. Like, and to rate him that highly in 2025 is just, I get that he had a good season for us in a season where pretty much all of our other midfielders either had a slow start or never got going. I don't want to hear that shit. I really don't. So if we get a backup DM, they need to cost pennies. And I would prefer not even to replace. Use MLS there. If you're going to go out there and get Hato, move MLS to midfield. Move MLS to midfield. Do it. Put him as the backup. Jorginho played 700 minutes this season. 700. Do you know how little that is? That's what we're talking about replacing right now. Jorginho's minutes. 700. 700. Zubamendi with a really good record, injury record. We have Declan Rice, and you have MLS that can take those 700 minutes. Why don't we just do that and use an internal solution instead of going out there and spending big? Now, I know this Lucien Agome guy is going around, whatever, 20 million euros, which is like what, 12 million pounds or something like that. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. If you're going to spend anything on a DM, it better be minuscule. I am tired of spending money on players that are not going to change how we play in the final third, meaning at least at the tippy top. They can help us get there. They can help facilitate. They can put it on a plate. But you're still going to have the likes of Martinelli and Kai Havertz missing sitters. I cannot have that again next season. Sorry. So money needs to go forward. All of it. 12 million you can spend on this guy. He's really good, young, talented. Finally get some French vibes in this bitch, since we've just forgone the recipes and chucked them in the trash. Get a French lad in there. Let him do his thing. Send him some Vieira tapes and say, this is who we want you to be. In a couple of years, you're going to spend time you're going to play a little backfill role, whatever, and keep it fucking moving and put that money up front. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And for people that are saying, I don't view Rice as an option at the 6 because he's our top left 8 and he hasn't been great in the 6 at Arsenal, then what the fuck is Marino and fucking Kai Havertz doing here? If they can't play in their natural position while Rice plays in the 6, and you're telling me that you'd be afraid that we can't beat a Premier League side. I wouldn't want that midfield against, City or Liverpool, or a top 6 side. But you would be shiver me timbers against Leeds at home if we had to play with Rice in the 6 and Marino in left 8 because you don't trust it. So then why won't we be honest about those players then? that they weren't good enough. Can't have it two ways. You can't say those signings were great and then tell me that you're afraid to move Rice to the 6 because you'd have to watch Kai or Marino play left 8. What are they here for if they can't stand it in their natural position? I don't get that. We don't have a lack of depth at 8 and 6. We have a lack of talent at left 8. That's the problem. And people are not honest about that. They don't want to be honest. Oh, well, Rice is our best left 8. And he's our best left 8 because he's had to be. Because Kai Havertz was not good enough to play there. And Marino can be shocking in that position. But listen, if I say that, then I'm being negative and shit. Like, I don't want to spend more money on a DM. I'm done. I'm done with the DM. I'm done. I'm over it, guys. I cannot do another DM, bro. I can't. I'm also seeing think pieces on throwing the Carabao Cup before the season is even started. I mean, what is going on with this fan base? Imagine trying to win the league with MLS in midfield. Liverpool won't try it and make more experienced Curtis Jones, but we should do it with MLS. But that's not what I said. I didn't say try to win the league with MLS and as your backup. Like, we're talking about a backup DM. This is what I'm saying. False equivalence, being intentionally obtuse, trying to put a bunch of pieces together that don't actually put them together. In most teams, their backup DM, their second or third option is usually somebody that they do not want playing there as much as the first guy. That is normal. That is normal in most teams. It's normal in Manchester City. Their number one choice is Rodri. It's a combination of guys after that. They don't even have what we got. They don't even have a Rice to move there if Rodri is not available. They got guys like Kovacic and Gundogan playing there. Who do Liverpool have? Endo as their backup to Gravenberch. And then if it gets beyond that, who are they going to put there? This whole idea that we need to have 3 top-level DMs is just something that Arteta has conditioned you guys to think, because we don't do well when we have to do with other players stepping into positions. We're talking about winning the league with Zubimendi, Rice, and MLS as your DM options, not just MLS. Did Zubimendi go somewhere? Did he just poof out of nowhere? Like, what are you guys saying? Like, we're just conditioned to believe that this whole DM situation, you need to have 3. I remember people were sitting up there saying, we have the best DM, depth in Europe. Did that win us anything? What did that win us? Nothing. Nothing. Because our forwards can't score. Like, I don't want to hear that. MLS is more than good enough to play in his position for 700 minutes. I'm telling you, like, he's the backup to the backup. He could do that. There's even a scenario where you could play Rice in the 6 and MLS at left 8. We have internal solutions here. We don't have to go out there and spend money on another DM. We don't need that. Like, come on. But we'll do it because Arteta's obsessed with having his Jorginho profile and his Partey profile, and then Rice can also play there. But God forbid, a girl wants a attacking left 8. Arteta constructed a diabolical midfield. 2 of the left center mids are already playing better as a striker. Listen, but if I say that, I'm being negative. I'm saying the players that y'all like, you don't even trust playing in their natural position. But if I say that they weren't good signings, you're about to choke me and put me in the guillotine. I don't get that. I don't get that. You, as a Arteta defender, and everything we've done is great, and how dare you say that Marino and Kai Havertz weren't good signings? If I say, oh, well, if we get in a situation where Zubimendi can't play, let's play Rice in the 6 in his natural position, by the way, and whether you like it or not, and play one of our left center mids that we bought for that position there, and you're choking and you coughing up blood, what are we doing then? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I just don't get it. Why do I have more faith in the guys that you guys rate? And you know, because I feel like we should be able to beat most teams in the bottom half with any combination of midfield that we got. If we don't, we're not good enough. We're not good enough if we can't put any combination of Odegaard, Havertz, Rice, Zubimindi, Odegaard, Rice. Like, any combination of that should beat the bottom half. And if it doesn't, well, we got bigger problems than just needing a striker, baby. Much bigger problems. We need more creativity in this team. No, Arsenic, we don't need more creativity. What do you mean? More DMs, more left backs, more goalkeepers, more. What do you mean more creativity? The fuck? Paul says Party should be replaced next season. I would personally get Eze, who can play on the wings if needed, but mainly play left 8. Competition is needed at this club. Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like that is a perfect solution for a team that really needs creativity on the left-hand side. And if you can't get your number one, like those perfect left winger, right? Then the next best option is somebody that plays there, like a Trossard, an upgrade on Trossard, because really I think we're trying to decide, or at least in my mind, are we upgrading on Trossard or are we upgrading on Martinelli? Are we upgrading on the winger? Or are we upgrading on like a Trossard profile that's more of like can play multiple position? Xavi Simons would be a Trossard replacement, where like a Leao would be a Martinelli replacement, so there's options. And this is why there is no excuse not to get somebody in the door. Not one excuse. You can do it. Marino and Kai and Rice were signed for $200 million after the first title challenge. Add 50 for the expected Zubi and 35 for Fabio. Have had enough money and time to fix the midfield, time to make it work. I agree, Yo-Yo. I just feel like Arteta doesn't feel confident with the options that he's bought, but this is the sandwich that he's created, and I don't even feel like, as much as I don't like watching Kai in midfield and how like I am scared whenever Marino is receiving the ball under pressure, I just feel like I should feel confident, and I do pretty much feel confident in that group being able to win a game against the bottom half. Now, if we have to beat the top half with that group for a long period of time, we may suffer. But that's also why you bring in good attackers, because one of our bigger issues, I feel, is that we can't afford not to have perfect scenarios behind the attack, because the attack is never going to bail them out. The only way we can really win is if we have the perfect dynamic at the back and in midfield. All of that will create a platform for that front group to maybe score the goals that they need to. But there's never a scenario where a midfield was kind of shit today, but the attack just got it done. There's never that scenario, because the midfield also needs to score a shit ton of goals. The midfield also needs to do all the assists. The midfield also needs to do everything. The attack really is not under any pressure to hold the team up. It's just not, so if we had attackers that could create something out of nothing, and we could have kind of like a weird midfield situation and make it through, then we wouldn't be as scared to have a Marino in midfield with Rice and Odegaard. I think the main reason why we're so concerned with that is because we just don't have the attackers to compensate for maybe a lack of quality or a lack of balance and consistency in midfield and at the back. They have to be damn near perfect. Jaden says Zubi can be looked at as the Party replacement, with Rice and MLS taking up those J20 minutes at the 6. It's not that difficult to view it like that. Thank you, Jaden. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not speaking a different language. I'm really not. I don't think we need to invest heavily at that backup DM position. I would prefer to not do it at all. If I had to choose between getting a defender and a backup DM, I would choose a defender, because our defense, especially on the left-hand side, is a little bit more suspect. But that DM position is not struggling, baby. People are like, oh, we got injuries last season. We didn't have any problems at DM. We didn't. The DM position was A-okay. Left center mid was A-okay. There wasn't any problems in those positions. The problems was up front, you know? But Dio is saying MLS is the heir to party, and that's his natural position, is it not? You know, to play like a 6'8". Is that not his natural position? You know, I'm like, people are afraid for somebody that's playing out of position now and playing out of his skin to play in his natural position for like a couple of minutes. I don't get that. Especially because, is my sound off? Is it? Somebody is saying my sound is off. Let me check. I'm hungry as well. So this isn't going to be the longest stream in the world, but I'm hungry. Let me check. I see nothing but ladies calling. They keep coming from wall to wall. Let's see. I'm just checking to see. Is my sound off? Am I good? Oh, okay. So you guys can hear all of that. All right. We're fine. Okay. So, but yeah, I think maybe I just think MLS is better than other people, but I would feel very confident in him playing in that position in a pinch. I just think he's good enough, you know. So we're not talking about him playing there for the rest of his life, you know, or playing there above Zuby or, you know, anything like that. We're talking about in a pinch, you know, or after a Champions League game where maybe Zuby needs a rest, you could play him in there, you know, or in a Carabao Cup game. That's what I'm saying, you know. But when I say MLS can play DM, then people say, so you just want him to start every game at DM, Jessica? What do you mean? And I'm just like, calm down with the dramatics telenovela. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in a pinch, you know, just in a pinch. Liverpool won the title without the preferred Zuby and having Gravenberch do a job with Endo rarely touching the pitch. We don't need stellar depth throughout the squad. We cannot survive without two world-class players in each position is just what do you guys call it? Bollocks. That's what it is. It is bollocks. That's not true. What you need suitable depth everywhere and some players that can cover multiple positions. What you cannot have is the front line that we have. That's what you can't have. You can have MLS as a backup DM position, Zubamendi and Rice. What you can't have is your left wing situation being Martinelli and Trossard. What you can't have is your only striker that you like is a player that doesn't score in games that are tight against the top 1% of teams. What you can't have is just one player that can, you know, only Saka that can play on the right. That's what you can't have, you know. So sorry. And they also have forwards that can compensate for a little bit of like weaknesses in their midfield here and there. You know, they have that. They have Salah that's going to come up with moments of magic. You know, we don't have that. So it's wild to me how we've conditioned ourselves to believe this nonsense about, you know, you need 3 top DMs, you know. No, we need a fucking left wing. No. What you can't have is our tapas in phase 10 trophy list. Josh says Yo-Yo is right, but the problem is we've seen that the manager is unable to deal with such problems adequately. Well, what conversation are we getting into now then? Because that's my thing. If a lot of these things, it's like comes from maybe wanting to protect the manager or understanding his lack of flexibility or his ability to work with scenarios that don't have his perfect players in it. Like he can't figure out how to use Declan Rice in the 6. He can't figure out how to create chances without Saka or Odegaard. He can't figure out how to, you know, build up without these inverted fullbacks, you know. So what are we actually saying here? Is that he's inflexible and maybe doesn't have as much, you know, as many tools in his tool belt? He's rigid. You know, is that what we're saying? Because if you're afraid that he can't play, you know, win games with Rice, Odegaard, Marino midfield, I need you to actually start asking yourself the real questions. That is not a bad midfield. If that midfield can't beat Premier League sides, then, you know, what are we actually talking about here? You guys think Arteta needs a perfect, squad of 25 players and 2 world-class players in each position because you don't trust his ability to be flexible and win under pressure without perfect players and perfect scenarios? What are we talking about here? When was the last time the attack bailed out the defense? If the defense won't play well, we're normally screwed. I'm sorry. I need my boys to get a little rest here. I'm not saying that I want them to have a bad season or go back to, conceding 40, 50 goals. That's really not what I'm saying, but I feel like we are in a situation where we kind of have to keep clean sheets to keep the game close, and we got in a really weird like spiral of needing to keep the clean sheet because it wasn't guaranteed that we would score even at home, which I think getting shut out at home, not scoring goals at home is diabolical for a top side. It doesn't happen very often for City and Liverpool, if ever, but it happened to us quite a few times at home against not great teams, by the way. We needed a clean sheet just in case we didn't score, and it shouldn't be like that, you know? Not sure if you spoke on this, but your thoughts on Cuesta leaving and his impact on the team. Listen, good for him, and that's a really great achievement for a young man to get a head coaching job at a Serie A team. I will be locked in. Cesc, Vieira, and Cuesta all in Serie A. I have plenty of teams to choose from now. Now, he's highly rated and highly regarded amongst people that are in and around the club, but so is Jason Ito. So from my perspective, it's like I don't really know deeply enough how big of an impact this is going to have, but I do feel like we need different ideas. So if somebody else could come in and give maybe Arteta a little shakeup, that would not be a bad idea after last season. So I wish him the best. I will be tuning into Parma to support. I think the only backup person or like a backroom staff that I would be devastated to lose is AirPod. He's a part of the fabric now, baby. We cannot lose AirPod. We cannot replace him. We cannot replace him. Sorry. So Cuesta and the other short guy and Inaki Kanya, if you go, I hope you go for something that's a step up in your career. But we should be able to replace Carlos Cuesta because again, they were doing up think pieces on Ito and he won shit. So Carlos Cuesta was one of our assistant coaches. And AirPod Albert is AirPod Albert. Do you know him? You know him. With the way we use our wide areas, our system heavily needs self-reliant, individually brilliant forwards. So I don't understand how Arteta thinks Nelly and Havertz would work well here. I don't know. We need forwards and we need them badly. And if if we were serious, and I know we're not serious, but if we were top left wing, Xavi Simons plus a striker would be the right type of summer to have for a club who's suffered with the forwards for quite a few seasons now. But I feel like they're barely committed to the striker. They need to commit to some more. Rico Lewis has been sent off. It's probably like 4 or 5-0, is it not? I would imagine that City are whacking this team. Are they not? They should hire Ty and call him headphones. This upcoming season, I'm expecting to be entertained. No more stale, boring, slow-paced football. We're going to need some different players then. Well, we could also play better football without, without new players, but Arteta's stiff, so yeah, I would love to feel entertained, but at the very least, let's at least get the attackers just in case it's still funeral football. Anton Dunn says we need experience. Cuesta can cut, but I think that Rice is viewed as an 8, so we actually have one DM. Well, not necessarily. I mean, Rice is viewed as an 8, but every season that he's been here, he's played time at 6. So I could understand that if Arteta never played him in the 6, but he still does. He still plays him in the 6. He's played multiple games this season as a 6, at the beginning of last season as a 6. He plays there for his country. Like, Arteta also, when they ask him about what position he's going to play, he never says 100% he's going to play the 8. He's always an option at the 6. So if Arteta plays him there, and when he's asked about it, he says that he's an option at the 6, why are we pretending like he's not an option at the 6? He's definitely an option at the 6. He plays there for Arsenal when Partey is not there, or Jorginho, whatever. He's an option, at the 6. Arteta says it, so he's there. Moses says Matoma or Anthony Gordon to replace Martinelli. Definitely Matoma if those are the options. You guys know I do not want Anthony Gordon at my club. There's just no way. My wing pairing cannot be Anthony Gordon and Saka. I love Saka down. We need something different on that other side. I am very against the Anthony Gordon movement. Telling me he's like Son. He ain't like no damn Son. Son was scoring fucking 20 goals a season when he was in his prime at Spurs. Anthony Gordon's barely shaking 8. Like, what? Talking about he's like Son. He ain't nothing like Son. Prime Son, come on. He ain't that guy. He's not that guy. And like Yo-Yo says, Newcastle aren't doing business with Arsenal. And this is why even having him on the list with the Rodgers and with the Rodrigo and Nico Williams, I'm looking at Arsenal like, if you don't go get somebody attainable, Gittins was available, Malik Fofana is available, Xavi Simons is available, Eze is available. There's players available, but you guys are going for the unattainable guys. I've seen this movie before. What happens if both Zubi and Rice get injured? Well, then you play the players that you have. You play one of your Havertz or your Marinos, the 100 million pounds that you spent on left center mids. You play one of them and you put MLS at the DM. But this, oh, well, what if so-and-so and so-and-so gets injured? So yeah, we need to go and invest in a DM. Well, we could do that in every single position. So what if Raya and Kepa get injured? Do we need to go buy another backup goalkeeper? Or are we just going to use Setford? Oh, what if Timber and White get injured? So you guys want to go out there and buy a right back? I could do this all day. I can do this all day. The reality is once you get past your first and second option, it's probably a guy that you don't really want playing there. But MLS is as good of an option as you can get on the market. Like he's just as good as anybody you can get on the market for a decent fee. The propaganda I am not buying into is we need to go out there and spend money on a third backup defender, or not defender, a DM, because people that's propaganda I am not buying into. I'm sorry. Go spend that money further forward. AD says he's better than anything we have, which shows you how shit our left side is. That's over-reliance on Rice. Well, how is it over-reliance on Rice when you spent over 100 million on 2 left center mids? Of course, he can't play 2 positions at once, but surely one of Marino or Kai Havertz can play their natural position. That's what we bought them for. Is that not true? How is it over-reliance? Our highest earner is quite literally a midfielder. And we're buying a striker, so how are we over-relying on Rice? By him playing in his natural position, and then the 2 players that you bought to play left center mid play in their natural position. Y'all are not willing to have the real conversation. And the truth is you don't trust players that Mikel brought in, that he spent a lot of money on. And instead of calling a spade and said Mikel made a mistake, you guys are acting like we need to spend money on a third backup DM to keep from having to actually live through the mistakes that have been made in past windows that people have been shit on for saying that they were ass. Like, that's stupid. Why didn't you just go get Bruno Guimaraes when you had the chance? Why didn't you just go get Tijani Reinders before Man City went and got him? These are the things that we've been talking about, but people are talking about, yeah, but Kai Havertz is not that bad at left center mid. Get out of here. What are y'all talking about? James says, all these hypotheticals about other players getting injured, who actually thinks Partey will stay fit 2 seasons in a row? my thing is I don't trust Marino and Havertz in the 8, so all the more reason to keep Partey. Can't even get rid of a guy with, you know, a weird case, you know, because you fucked up with the squad building. It's dark for Arsenal Football Club. I can't lie. Marino's natural position isn't even his best position. If I can play with Kai in midfield, I'm convinced he can survive anything. What if they don't get injured? I know. What if they don't get injured? You know, I could do that all day. You know, I could do that all day. What if both Timber and White get injured? So let's go buy another right back. You know, it's just we don't need to put more money into the DM position. We've spent 150 million on it already. Actually, we spent way more than that because we bought Sambi and we also bought Partey. So that's a lot of money on one position. 3 of those players are in our team right now, and Partey, Zubimindi, and Rice. One of them might be leaving, and then you have a young player that you just gave a big contract to, who is one of the best young players in the world that actually plays in that position, and people want to spend more money on it. Why? I don't get it. Play Kai in midfield, we lose the title race. What is the over-under? Partey plays right back next season. I'm going over with 3. Burmy says Havertz is a problem that apparently isn't easy to solve. He should be a bench player, but we likely have more playing time than he deserves. Partey ain't staying. Players run down their contract to get paid. He's someone else's problem now. Still shocked he hasn't won a medal for his troubles. Whoa, yo. We haven't won anything since he's been here. And I don't know what he's done to make sure that he stayed fit, but everybody else got injured in return for the new contract. Whatever voodoo that is, that was some strong shit. But this guy, he's problematic, you know, but, you know, Lucas Paquetá, found guilty of the betting allegations, could receive a lifetime ban. The trial has concluded, but Paquetá will wait up to 6 weeks for the verdict. That's actually fucking insane that you have to wait 6 weeks to know whether or not your life is over. Tell me right away, you know, tell me instantly if my life is over. But listen, I don't feel sorry for you because, yeah. But yeah, guys, I have to go pick up my baby. So, but we did like an hour and a half. So yeah, I think that's good enough. Unless something comes out later on today. The next time you guys will see me is tomorrow with Diluted. I'm sorry. I use this as a little bit of a therapy session, and so I crashed out a little bit. My bad, but hopefully it was entertaining for you guys because listen, that will not be the last one. I trust and believe. But hopefully we get some decent news on something soon. That beginning schedule is not amazing, but there's every opportunity for us to make ourselves feel confident going into this next season with new players coming in, you know. So make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will definitely get back with you guys tomorrow with Diluted for 2 shows. So stay tuned for that, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye guys.